Hi, I'm Sophie.
And I'm Kate, and we're the hosts of Talking in Common podcast.
Welcome to Being. All right, we are back, everyone. Welcome. How are you, Kate?
I'm good. How are you, Soph?
Very good, very good. So today we are joined by the wonderful and full of beans, Katie Thompson. Katie is a physical activity coach, an RAP Reconciliation Action Plan champion and business owner. She's the lead contributor and co-creator of the Swiss Girls on Country program.
Within this program, she creates strategies to meet the needs of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and the broader community in Alice Springs. She is so full of life and such a vibrant soul, so we're so grateful and delighted to have you with us today. Katie, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. That's a lot to live up to, isn't it?
How does it feel being introduced while you're sitting in front of us?
Yeah, it's a little different. It's nice to hear those things said about myself, actually.
Yeah, totally.
I'll own that.
You should. So we're so ready to hear you tell us everything that you love about movement and physical education and the outdoors and just what this love does for you and for others. But we'd just like to start by learning more about you and your life and the experiences that have led you to where you are today.
Yep, cool. I grew up in New Zealand. I'm a proud Kiwi. They'll never take that out of me, no matter how long I live in Australia. I come from a complex trauma background, which means I had a pretty rough childhood in some ways. And I grew up with my sisters and a brother, and with my dad as a solo dad. I'm very blessed in that I had these amazing grandparents who lived around 4 doors down from us. So my life was all outdoors. It was all caving, four driving, camping, abseiling, hiking, everything. I guess what people do on school camps to push them outside of their comfort zones is my childhood. So I was extremely blessed and carried that through into adult life and a love for the outdoors and getting elemental, being out there in nature. And I think that's what's always driven me. I can see the growth, what it brings to you when you are out there and everything's just taking you back to that basics and the less materialistic world and the actual needs you have, and then showing the grit that comes when you need it, when you're hiking and you're doing a 30-kilometre hike and you're halfway through and you're feeling that kind of like, oh, I've got blisters or my pack's heavy.
Why the fuck am I doing this?
Whose idea was this again?
Exactly, and it's so mindful. I think being in the outdoors is so mindful because it just really brings you back into the present moment. You can't really be so in your head. So I think I always wanted to help young people experience that and to bring that for young people and that joy and that sense of connection and that like inner knowing of your grit and your determination and who you are.
So tell us about the Girls on Country program. What does it entail and how did you become involved in it?
So I was an employee of Blue Earth Foundation, which is a not-for-profit charity that does physical activity. And we said, let's make a program in Alice Springs, and they said, okay, who needs movement the most? Who needs support the most? So we consulted with a lot of our community, especially our First Nations people, and we said, who needs us? And the response was unanimous. It was our young First Nations women. There is so many challenges and obstacles that they face, and there's so much disparity in what young males are offered and what young females are offered. Ridiculous.
Right.
Like, for example, one program, a girl in that program would get the people running the program would get $600 per year for that girl. The equivalent program for the male would get $6,000 a year because of the way they had funding.
Wow. Is that still the same?
I think
now?
it's changed a little bit, but there is still a big disparity.
Wow.
And there's so much invested in our young males. Not that they don't deserve it, don't get me wrong, everyone needs to move.
But it should be equal.
But it should be equal, and our young women have perhaps greater obstacles in front of them than their cohorts. Definitely. So we started off creating a program around physical activity and movement because physical well-being is a lot less. We want to get in early and help with the intervention, getting our kids moving more, educating them more about nutrition. So we started a program with these young women in 4 schools, and it was bring them together for days on country to connect them. There's a real bitchiness around female and a lot of climbing over each other that is kind of, I think, across social media, it's those kind of influences influence all our young women and our young men. But I think that bringing those women back together to help build each other up and showing them how they are similar and what they can do for each other.
What are the ages, like the main?
Yeah, so over the years it's kind of evolved. We started out with a big age gap, probably between 10 and 17. And then we've narrowed it down. We've gone with that age group because girls tend to be a little bit more malleable and open at that younger age. They haven't had perhaps as much exposure to social media and those kind of influences. So, and we realised that when you get kids at a younger age, you can make a lifelong difference. And so, we work with the younger girls now and then kind of try and support them through those older years.
What are some of the outcomes that you've seen? I mean, I want to ask what are the positive outcomes, but I'm sure there's some negatives as well. What are the outcomes
definitely as moving more. We've seen an increase in the movement and in sort of connecting them with sports and getting them sort of connected into more organised sports. And also just the connection within themselves, so connecting with culture, with language, and I think it's giving those girls a sense of ownership of who they are and where they come from, and it's really morphed into more of a cultural program. The girls have led us with their with what they want to move into. We're kind of led by the girls, self-identify and sort of follow them, and we've done some pretty cool stuff.
So Kate and I are both mums. And so we always have an invested interest in, ways to better our parenting skills or raise our children.
You have to be curious and explore.
Always learning.
Or forever learning.
Forever learning.
And you're talking about, a lot of ways that they're learning through play and games and all of that sort of thing. So from your experience and from your educator's perspective, can you tell us a bit more about the impact of kids learning through play?
Yeah, definitely. Learning through play is so powerful. Having shared experiences with other kids and with families and building those stronger relationships. Earlier you were speaking to Josh. And he was talking about trusting relationships and deep relationships, and we get that through sharing experiences. And so moving with our children and helping foster a love of movement in them is so powerful. Like just showing them the joy and giving them equipment like a beanbag, a balloon, a ball, and letting them explore. Stop dictating to them how they need to move,
do things,
what the defined way is, how we say it has to be. Definitely let them, there's no right or wrong in movement.
Let them figure it out for themselves.
Let them go crazy. And there's been sessions at schools where I've had just about the whole sports covered out and the kids like just running amok and playing with all sorts of equipment and getting so much out of it. But if anyone had walked in, it would have looked
chaos.
Unorganised chaos or unorganised chaos?
Scary, maybe.
So through this amazing work that you do for children and for others, what impact does this have on your own sort of well-being?
I think it's really been powerful working with Blue Earth and then now my own business as well as being affiliate of Blue Earth Foundation. It's helped me to find stillness. My life was really busy and like I said, being very ADHD, like I'm not, but very like that. That's how my trauma presents. And so it helped me find stillness and breath, and we do a lot of breath work, we do a lot of yoga, mindfulness, and it's been really powerful. A lot of our kids, especially up in Alice, there's a lot of, all over the world, there's kids that come from tough backgrounds. And so any kid, it's really important to find that stillness and find a space where we're comfortable with ourselves and find ways of relaxing our nervous system. And we can do that. We can access it so easily through breath and through just mindfulness.
Do you find the stillness challenging?
At times. Usually with kids, it's really good because I kind of lie there and you have to role model it. And so you can't be the one sitting up looking around because that's what they do. You have to be the first one lying on the floor really still and ignore the noises, ignore the talking and just kind of wait for the calm to settle. We use different things like I have Rafiki, the man off the Lion King, we pretend to be Rafiki, wise and strong and listening to the country sometimes. And other times we make our bodies as heavy as we can, so we're sinking into country. But yeah, there's lots of kind of inviting ways to do it. But yeah, seeing how powerful stillness and breath can be and what it can bring, I think, for every person, for every adult, every child.
Yeah.
If you ask me, probably the core skill that I need in my life now, it would be breathing and finding that time to breathe and just have space for myself.
And just be.
Yep.
We'd love your perspective a little bit more on the link between physical movement and, you know, just the outcomes and what it does for our minds.
Yeah, 100%. So
physical
movement or physical activity, it creates pathways in our mind. So it's like little roads. It connects little roads up so we can access information faster. We can store more information. It means that we live longer, which is always great. But also we can do amazing things for a lot longer. And we can use physical activity to teach pencil skills. Those fine motor skills, those gross motor skills, those skills we need for life, core strength. How important is core strength that we just underestimate it? It's useful for everything.
Yeah.
So by getting our kids moving and building those skills, it's useful in their academic life. It's useful with relationships. There is no thing that physical activity does not help with in your life. It is probably should be the core focus of your life.
360 effect on everything,
exactly.
really.
Yeah, you're smarter, you're more powerful, you're stronger, you're more confident, and you've just got better outcomes for yourself. You can focus better.
You feel better after you just move your body.
All those
tiny
chemicals
bit
running around. Yeah.
Endorphins.
Yep, love those things. But I think as families, we need to move more. We need to role model for our young people what it looks like to be well, especially with, there's so much mental health in our society, and I think that moving well and eating well and connecting with people can really work to make a change in that. And so, just taking time to really invest and be with people, present in the moment, not on our phones, as we talk about.
And I just want to ask as well quickly before you finish this up, because I'm always so inspired by people who love what they do for work so much. And by the sounds of what you've done, you've followed what's, really sort of innate in your needs, which is the outdoors and nature and things like that. But apart from just following that and that leading you to where you are, do you have any advice for people that are looking for that sort of connection with their work or implementing
I think be open, be curious, explore.
Yeah.
And find your passion, really find your passion and follow it. And my experience is that life just kind of throws the right thing at me at the right time. I was a hiking guide for a long time, and that's how I met the Blue Earth Foundation key people. They came on one of my tours, and then they were talking about the work they did, which kind of led to working for them. But I think, be open, explore different opportunities and get outside of your comfort zone. We don't grow in that space. We just get stagnant. And so to push ourselves out of that space and be uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is good. Not,
Absolutely.
Fear is not great, but being uncomfortable is really powerful for us.
Getting comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that a bit. Yeah.
It's not easy to do.
No.
It's easy to say.
That's such great advice. Thank you so much, Katie, for joining us today. We're so inspired by all that you do, and we really appreciate your time that you've given us.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm feeling more full of beans than ever.
I'm ready to run a marathon.
I'm getting your energy.
Once his baby's out, we're signing us up.
Come up and do
hold you to that.
Monster.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. You're amazing. Thanks for your time.
No, thank you.